only took 11 episodes, and he's finally ready perfectly. And with this introduction, we can officially say that Seiya and Rista have joined the ICU, the Isekai Cinematic Universe of Isekai Quartet. It is just all around fantastic news, and just, there's a lot of things to kind of clarify. So, this isn't actually the first cameo that Rista has gotten within Isekai Quartet. Now, I was binge watching it today, kind of catching up to where we're at now with episode 11, and on episode 8, you actually see Rista at the stall buying some snacks for herself, and you don't really get to see her face, you don't really get to see her at all. It's easy to miss, it's very easy to miss. But if you look very closely, you see Rista right there at the stall, and you can even see her signature, you know, like bow, like ribbon in her hair, like the blue and all that, and it just like, it stands out, and you're like, holy crap, they really already had this prepped and ready to go, and they were already dropping Easter eggs early on before they even decided to show Seiya in episode 11. So, it's really crazy to think about. And it's wonderful to see stuff like this. Characters from other Isekai series popping up within Isekai Quartet as guest characters, and just having some really interesting roles. Like, the entire segment at the beginning of this episode, of episode 11, like the latest one, of seeing Seiya and Rista popping up in front of the school festival, and then Seiya's like, I'm not gonna go in there and all that, and he's like, I don't trust it, and he leaves. It is honestly the best way to kind of introduce his character into Isekai Quartet, because even if it's like the only time we ever get to see Seiya within this, you know, spin-off series, it would be the perfect cameo for him. And the reason why is because it fits his character literally to a T. Why would he go to a school festival that has a bunch of like demons, like angels, goddesses, and like undead and everything else there? Like, why would he ever step foot in like a school festival that's like that? So it makes perfect sense why someone like Seiya would not do that. And so this is like the last time we ever see him in Isekai Quartet, which I doubt it is. But the point though is, if it was, let's say, the last time, honestly, I wouldn't even be upset, because it fits perfectly with his character. So that's just pretty cool. But there's so many other things to really take from just seeing him join the cast, because one of the big details about this is that it gives more hope, more room for a season 2 for Cautious Hero to eventually come out. And I think many are excited to see a continuation of that story, because the finale of season 1 just left me, and I think many others, wanting more. And just to see Seiya kind of join the cast, it kind of makes you wonder if they are prepping up for an announcement or something, or information or whatever. We'll find out. But anyways, backing up for a second, I want to talk about the end card. The end card that came out for episode 11, the latest episode that aired yesterday for Isekai Quartet. So here's the end card. And the end card is just absolutely hilarious for a variety of reasons. One of the big details, obviously, you're going to notice is seeing Rista, Aqua, and Tanya front and center of this, you know, illustration, and it's honestly amazing for the way the characters are depicted. You see literally Rista and Aqua, which has already been compared to be very similar in their own represented series, like, you know, how Aqua's useless and how, you know, Rista's useless, but Rista, it's kind of like a higher threshold. She's definitely not as useless as Aqua, but the point is, there is comparisons made within the community between the two characters. Even their designs are somewhat similar, and they're both goddesses at the end of the day. So seeing these two kind of just drinking and all that, and then they're like, have Tanya's wedged between them, it's hilarious, because we know Tanya as a character does not like goddesses or any deities, etc. So seeing her like that, trying to drink her tea or coffee, whatever she's drinking, and just wedged between two goddesses is just absolutely hilarious. But then when you look over on the image, you can actually see Seiya and Ainz, and how they're just looking at each other, and you see how they're like kind of, you know, doing strength training and all that. And it's funny because Seiya is eyeing Ainz, because Ainz is an undead, and it makes you wonder if Seiya's gonna throw some holy water at the man. It's like, holy water, just splash it on him or whatever. But it's just to seeing their interaction, how Ainz is like doing some training, but also you see Seiya doing it. It fits perfectly with the characters. And then just seeing, you know, Cosma sitting in the back in the chair being lazy, and Subaru trying to strength train, but he can't even pick anything up to get stronger. It's a good illustration, and there's honestly a lot of good illustrations that came out for Isekai Quartet since the last time I talked about it, and it's honestly amazing. But okay, enough with that. So obviously, it's been a bit since I've talked about the series, and the reason why is because I wanted to binge the series, truthfully. I wanted to let the episodes build up and binge it, because Isekai Quartet, as I've talked about many times in the past throughout my episode reviews of it, it's fantastic. It's an amazing series. I love it, fully support it. The only thing that holds this series back is the runtime. Only being like maybe sometimes 9 to 11 minutes or whatever. That's the biggest issue I have with this series. It's not even the fact that we don't really have a serious story. I wish there was more time to it. So obviously, because of that, I've been letting episodes build up so I can talk about it, and here I am. And man, it was a blast. It really was a blast, just, starting the episodes this morning. Like, I got up this morning and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna catch up with the Isekai Quartet, because I know it's going to be ending in like a week or so I want to, catch up. I'm a little bit behind. So I sit down, I start binging the episodes, and I'm just laughing. Like, I'm drinking my coffee, and I'm laughing so hard, because there's just so many little nods and references, and just cool fan service scenes between the characters, that honestly, it's just like, this is why I love this series. It's, everything that a fan would want, honestly, of these different series. And as someone that's pretty much watched all these series, actually, yeah, I have watched all these series. I watched, ReZero, I've watched, Overlord, I watched Tanya the Evil, I've watched, Konosuba, I've watched Cautious Hero, and I've watched, Shield Hero, so I understand all the references. I'm fully acquainted with these characters, and just seeing them interact is so hilarious, and the voice actors and everything, you can just see how they really enjoy their roles, and I don't know, this series always puts me in a good mood, and I think many can agree with me on that. But okay. So there's a couple of things to talk about. Obviously, I want to backtrack to the Valentine's Day episode with the chocolate giving, because that honestly was a good episode, and I really got a kind of a surprise, shock, face when I saw that episode, because Beetlejuice, our boy, Papa Love, he popped up within an episode of this series. I'm gonna be honest, I did not expect that. I did not expect to see him pop up, and seeing him do his whole death scene, how he says death and all that, and just the way he does his movements and animations, they perfectly captured how wacky the character is, and just how he is so, movement orientated. He expresses himself with movement, and the voice actor too, you could just tell he was really loving his role while getting to voice the character once again. And just seeing someone like Alberto beside him, and they were interacting and getting along, is honestly something I never knew I needed until I witnessed it. I'm just like, this is honestly amazing. I love these characters, and I love them even more together. Honestly, if Alberto wasn't going after Ainz, I would honestly ship Beetlejuice and her completely, because the characters really do mesh perfectly together. I never thought that was possible, but they really do mesh perfectly together when you see how they interact within that Valentine's Day episode. But there's more to the episode than that. There's also a funny scene with Kazuma tricking Weiss and all that, and telling him, oh, give me choco, and all that, trying to beg for chocolate, and it was honestly heartbreaking. It was a really sad episode for that little moment. It's funny, but it was sad, because Weiss just wanted a girl to like him and also receive some chocolate, and when he's begging and all that, and people are pretty much no and all that, and eventually Tanya pops up, you were tricked, etc. I felt bad for the man. I'm like, holy crap, I feel so sorry for this man. He literally got tricked. He didn't get any chocolate. Maybe Union might have given him some chocolate, or, they might get together within a Isekai Quartet, because honestly, I think they kind of deserve each other. When you think about Union, but also him as a character, it kind of fits. But, okay. There is another little segment of the Valentine's Day which is interesting, and it's the whole Subaru getting chocolate. You see how when he starts to receive chocolate, he gets a little, I guess, duty chocolate from, Emilia, but then you see Rim in the background trying to give him chocolate, which it's a massive chocolate, and it's just like, holy crap, you can really see who really loves Subaru and all that, and I think that perfectly wraps up a lot of people's feelings on the interactions between those three characters, and it's perfect. So, I find it hilarious that Pandora's actor has gotten more screen time within Isekai Quartet than he has in his actual series, Overlord. Now, I know Pandora's actor isn't quote-unquote a main character. Like, he isn't supposed to have front and center main screen time, and Overlord does shift its POV to a lot of different characters, but Pandora's actor is one of those characters I've yet to really get a major spotlight within the story. He's important, but he doesn't have, like, a big spotlight, and I think we've gotten more scenes of him and more voice lines from him from this series than Overlord's anime, and it's honestly sad, because I really love Pandora's actor, and I think many loves his character as well, the fans of Overlord, and just seeing him actually have some interaction with the characters, and saying, oh, you know, Ainz would really love your outfit, or Ainz would really love the eye patch you have, Megumin. There's just great moments with him, and I wish there was more scenes with him. I really do, and I'm just so glad that Isekai Quartet has kind of incorporated him a little bit more, and we get to see him, you know, just be Pandora's actor around everyone. It's just wonderful. Obviously, we have now Fumi. He's going to be playing the Ugly Duckling, which is an outcast within a story. I think it is the perfect fit for him as a character when you really think about the story of Ugly Duckling and just now Fumi's story throughout Shield Hero, and just seeing his reaction of when he actually gets to play and how he's dressed up as like the Ugly Duckling. I was just sitting there laughing so hard because it's so perfect. It's honestly, I never thought that I would ever see now Fumi in a Ugly Duckling outfit, and on top of that, it would fit so perfectly with his character because of everything we know about him. It's just, oh my goodness, like, really, Isekai Quartet really goes an extra mile to make you really see some things you never thought you would see, but actually makes perfect sense with these character interactions. Obviously, there is a school festival going on, and this school festival needs to go without being interrupted, and Rosewall himself is basically saying, like, it can't be interrupted, it needs to be settled and all that, and this whole destroyer wasn't really a part of the plan. It wasn't really supposed to be here, but you can't stop what you're doing to kind of defeat it because the play must go on. And I think it's really interesting how the story is kind of going along with some themes that are actually going to potentially happen in other certain series. And I love the references, honestly. I really do love the subtle foreshadowing to, like, ReZero and other series. I think it's really cool. And they've obviously been highly incorporating foreshadowing to the audience that are fans of ReZero for a while. I mean, let's think about this. Before ReZero was obviously canceled for this upcoming spring season, it was supposed to air. So when Isekai Quartet came to a conclusion, ReZero Season 2 was supposed to completely start up right after it, and it would make sense why the entirety of Isekai Quartet Season 2 would kind of slowly build up certain themes or elements that you would experience throughout Season 2 of ReZero, and I find it really cool how they've done that. I really do, and it does make me wonder if there's other series they're doing that for, like, let's say, Cautious Hero, Shield Hero. You know, there's a lot of questions I have about that, and I wonder if they are using Isekai Quartet to kind of advertise these series. Well, obviously they're doing that, but to kind of say, oh, more of this series is coming, or kind of give hints at what the plot is going to look like in the next season, etc. It's food for thought. But, I will talk about more of those spoilers in a second, because I don't want to talk about those yet, because I know there's a lot of people that have not read the light novel / web novel of ReZero, so they're not fully aware of what's potentially going to happen in Season 2, so I'll talk about that in a moment, after I give, like, a disclaimer, etc. But yeah, just overall, I have to say, Isekai Quartet has just been fantastic. It's been fun. From the moment I decided to catch up to the moment I came to the conclusion. I'm still having fun. I've had a really good time talking about the series even in this video. You can probably tell I've had a big smile on my face majority of, you know, this video recording. It's been fun. It's a really fun series, and I do hope that this isn't like the end of Isekai Quartet. Hopefully we get a Season 3, because there's just so much potential here, and for them to even add Seiya and Rista within the story, they're probably going to add more, and I would love to see, let's say, No Game No Life being added. Now that would be crazy. Imagine if they added No Game No Life, like Sora and all of them, into this story. That would be so awesome if that was done. Like, to advertise a potential continuation No Game No Life Season 2. Just take a moment to think about that. Imagine if that was done. Like, imagine how many people would jump for joy if that happened. But okay. So, with that out of the way, I want to talk about some spoiler stuff. So, if you don't want to be spoiled for upcoming content for ReZero Season 2, then I recommend you to kind of stop the video here. I wish you all a good day and a wonderful night, or wherever you live. Stay healthy and stay safe, because, the world is crazy right now. Just please stay safe out there. But if you want to stick around, you don't care about core content kind of being discussed, then by all means continue, but I warned you. So, okay, there's a couple things now that I noticed throughout the latest episodes of Isekai Quartet that has hinted at some of the web novel / light novel content of Season 2 of Re:Zero, and mainly it is centered around Rosewall. There was literally an episode, I think episode 10, to where Rosewall was writing on the board, "What does rabbits eat?" Now, at first glance, the normal watcher, even those that read the web novel and light novel, might not first catch it. But when you take a moment to look at what he's drawing and what it looks like, you instantly know that that is the rabbit that literally caused so much havoc within the next arc of Re:Zero, the upcoming Season 2, that Subaru had to deal with. This glutton that couldn't be stopped. It would eat and eat and eat. And I just find it fascinating how we literally had a design like sneak peek with the bunny drawn on the, the chalkboard, but also what does it eat? You can kind of say it eats Subaru because Subaru literally got eaten alive in Re:Zero, like the upcoming arc. So that's interesting to me, but it doesn't just stop there. There's been many instances throughout Season 2 where Rosewall is constantly holding a book and he looks at it, or he's holding it in his hand and he talks about some ominous plot points. And if, like I said, if you've read the web novel and light novel, then you know what this is. Rosewall, he religiously follows that book. That book says anything that he must do, like, it's telling the future, he must follow it to a T. It must happen. He must make sure those events within that book of his happens. And so if it says a play must happen, a play must happen. And I find it interesting how they're really just hinting at that major fact of Rosewall, of how he is a slave to the book that he carries, the gospel and all that. It's interesting. I find it fascinating how they're really giving those nods to really major plot points that's going to happen within Season 2. And even the element with Subaru potentially helping out Emilia is also another big plot point of Re:Zero Season 2, which I want to get into. And this is probably one of the biggest spoilers, honestly, is that around the middle half of the next arc, if you remember, if you have read it, Subaru, he at first looked like he was fully backing Emilia for her trials, her tests and all that. He was backing her, he supported her, but then it was exposed and revealed that he really didn't believe in her to be able to do it by herself and be able to do it, so he had to take the trials and try to do it without her and, pass it for everybody can be free, etc. And that was a big detail, is that Subaru didn't really trust in Emilia to be able to get it done by herself. And this entire final segment of the story of Isekai Quartet is very similar to that. It's like Subaru's having to put his trust into Emilia for her to be able to handle the destroyer with the others around her. Now, obviously, this is probably going to have a happy conclusion. It's not going to be sad or depressing, etc. But it might hint at maybe the conclusion of the next arc, where Subaru actually does learn to allow Emilia to do things on her own and trust her to be able to overcome obstacles before her without the help of him helping her. For instance, Subaru doing something. So I just find that interesting. I really do wonder if that was intentional or not. Like, that really does seem like a big nod they're doing, which is the whole dynamic of Emilia having to stand up to this destroyer, and then Subaru having to kind of be talked to about, like, oh, you need to trust Emilia, she can do it, etc. I know you want to help her. Will Subaru stick to his character, before that arc of Season 2 and, go and try to stop something and help out? Or will he straight up trust and have faith in her? Because if he has trust and faith in her, it pretty much says that this Subaru is now going to start taking place after the events of Season 2. But that's my, 2 cents. But, okay. That's about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, though. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. If you enjoy my content, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.